Hey y'all, so I'm coming on right now. I know I kind of look like I've been dressed for a funeral, but my dress is actually really cute. It has a little thing in the back, and then I had some really cute earrings on. It's got the nice balloon sleeve thing going on. It's satin, and it has a really cute like V cut in the front and the back. This dress is actually Gianna Bernini, so don't get into me. The dress is really cute, but it's not giving funeral vibes. I just had to come on here and say that. Now, this video may be a little bit of a death to the ego, but I'm feeling theatrics a little bit, but I'm also kind of serious. So I want to make this video for younger women, as a mentor and as someone who has literally and deliberately been led astray by older women. I'm telling you right now that there's the elephant in the room, and it needs to be addressed. And I'm not going to be messy. I'm being a little comical because this is more of a sensitive thing. We're going to be talking about age. We're going to be talking about women, and more so just addressing like the competition piece that is so heavy. Like, I can honestly say I don't meet many women who, let me say this too, outside of the body of Christ, who are really righteous, who are really living out the right way of living and being, and they're not giving arrested development. They're not getting stunted adolescence. You know what I mean? They actually want to see you win, and they actually have lived long enough to have made mistakes and also learn from their mistakes. Now, I also want to start this off too by just kind of encouraging wherever you may be in your life, right? One thing I have learned is that God is faithful. I look back over my life, and one thing that has affirmed me in my new seasons of growth and the new things that God has placed in front of me, right, where I'm at today. Yes, bloom where you're planted, but it's okay if something doesn't work out. It's no reason to be fretful or fearful in what God is calling you to do, because when I look back over my life, He's been faithful. He's been true. He's been there, and I've always figured it out. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, God is never going to fail you. So you might as well just go ahead and live your life and be happy. As someone who it has been the first, right, which I know many of you young ladies are going to be, you're going to find that you're going to be in some spaces where other women have not been. And that's going to bring up a lot of fleshly, a lot of spirits, a lot of different things in those women. And they're not going to tell you this because a lot of times women are just not aware. It's very unfortunate that because we encourage baby mama culture, because it is something that is rewarded, and because it is in a lot of ways like generational curses, right? I'm not talking about single motherhood. I'm talking about the willful, right, enforcement and assurance that is within baby mama culture for a lot of Black women. I'm saying this humbly, right? A lot of women haven't really had the opportunity to really sit and get to know themselves, right? A lot of women have become mothers at very, very young ages. So they never really had that time to cultivate a relationship with God. They never really had that time to even work on personal or professional development, right? And we're not really gonna get into that because that's all worldly. But I just more so want to say that to say a lot of women have made a lot of mistakes, and it's a commonality. That's not to judge. That's not to say, who are we, right? So that's what I'm saying. I'm having this conversation with you guys, and we're talking about this from a very humble place, right? And I'm telling you this because when you're young, you look at these women and you're like, okay, she's older. Maybe she figured it out, right? Maybe there are some grace in her life. Maybe things are looking a certain type of way. Maybe things have worked out, and you feel like you can trust her. You feel like you want to tell her, certain things about your life and where God is taking you and how maybe you have had a different path. And you want someone to be along with you on that path. But a lot of times, you're going to meet a lot of women who are not going to be happy for you on that path. And they are going to discourage you, right? They're going to do a lot of nice, nasty, backbiting type of things. And it's really just because they don't realize the bitterness that has taken place in their lives, right? What Black women and women in general don't often like tap into, and I think it's going to take God to bring you the revelation. You're going to have to realize that you have been lied to about a lot of stuff in this world, right? And all the ways in which men have been lied to, right? Satan works overtime to get us to be deceived, to follow into things, into this world, into following false promises and false prophets and all these different things. So you have to understand that. So, a lot of women are honestly going to give you a really bad advice. I've had women in my life, and I'll just testify, women that I've really confided in, lead me into some very dangerous situations, because of their own flesh, because of their own desires, because of the things they feel like they didn't have, right? The people they feel like they didn't, you know what I mean? And it never went right with my spirit, but I felt like I trusted in them because they were older, right? I feel like I should be able to trust in them, which you should, you know what I mean? And to this day, you know what I mean? So you're gonna have to really work on your relationship with God, because if you're a young Black girl coming up out of most of our environments, y'all know how it is, just gotta say, it may not be the worst environmentally, but a lot of times, unfortunately, if it's not environmental, it's the household, it's the things that we're going through, the thing, you know what I mean? It's a lot of brokenness, right? And I would just speak to that and say, for all the women out there, no matter where you are, what age you are, you have to seek understanding, right? People say, oh, you just forgive. No. Okay. Forgiveness is a process, but it starts with understanding, right? When God shows you a person's brokenness and you see how this person is suffering and why they caused the pain and they inflicted that pain on you because they didn't know what to do with it, then you're going to grieve, because you wouldn't even be able to fathom how miserable this person is and all the brokenness, you know what I mean, that they've caused in the lives of people because they were hurting and they were miserable and they didn't know what to do with that pain. So I always said this, just even from being a young girl, growing up being bullied, girls would talk so much stuff about me, right? But I knew that the moment that I said something about them, it would crush them, because these girls were hurting. You know what I mean? They were really in some tough situations, you know what I mean? Completely different backgrounds, completely different, you know what I mean? So a lot of times the people who hurt you are broken. As you get older, you learn to discern, you learn not to put yourself in those spaces, right? But back to what I was saying, so, and that's another thing, right? We're living in the age of technology. So I know we're young, right? I'm technically part of Gen Z, but kind of like not really, but kind of sort of, so we grew up with computers, right? We grew up in the age where there's technology. Y'all, we're on the computer today. You can find healthy mentors. You can learn about God, communities, all these different things. The generations before us, which I know sometimes, for some of us it's hard to imagine, but it's like there was a whole time where that was not available. So you have a lot of people today who are really struggling with that. They're struggling with the fact that they didn't know things sooner. If you look at it from a spiritual perspective, and you look at the deviance from Black culture being this gospel centered, you know what I mean? This thing where there's married home, married families and so forth, right? A lot of people are gonna bring all the negative stuff. Oh no, our grandparents wasn't happily married and they was we're not doing all that. Marriage, principles, church, family, it was there. And so you start to look at the influence from hip hop, right? Hip hop went from being this expressive thing where there was dance and there was, you know what I mean, to being this very degrading thing, to guns, to drugs, to violence, to the degradation of Black men and Black women. So that was really the turning point in Black culture, where we were no longer about community, we were no longer about family, right? I'm still learning that era, and studying that. I just picked up When Crack Was King. So I'm waiting for that book to come in mail. But, there was a point in time where we really did have family. We really did have unity. But when crack got into the communities, hip hop turned into rap, and it just became this whole thing. And I don't want to say rap, but it just more so started to be more degrading. Like, it really broke down our families. So I don't want to get too far into that, but I just want to say to you guys, like, guard your heart. Really, really guard your heart, because if it wasn't for me having the courage to trust myself in my last situation, right, in the last season of my life, I don't even know if I would have been here. I had people literally encourage me to go into dangerous situations that didn't appear dangerous on the outside, but they were going to be very dangerous to my spirit and even to my purpose and into my walk and into my communion with the Lord. But because these women were jealous, because these were just a lot of things that they had in their heart that I didn't know, right? I didn't even know what type of spirit I'm dealing with. I'm thinking, oh, this person is older, this person knows, X, Y, and Z. But you have a lot of women who live this earth and they don't really sit with that pain. You can say, oh, Black women can't be da 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 da. You know what I mean? From what I've experienced and in my work with sisterhood and in me being a mentor, Black women prevent other Black women from being vulnerable. And it really isn't until we humble ourselves